Thanks so much for staying with us. Joining us in the studio now is Wayne Coates, Hamilton County Recorder. Wayne, so glad to have you here.
Good to be back.
And it's a little busy. You've become quite busy since the last time you were here. You are now the president of the Ohio Recorders Association.
88 county recorders, and I'm the president.
Well, what's that like in the course of your day? As if you weren't busy enough. What does this add to your day? And what does it mean actually holding this position?
Well, it's an organization that was founded in 1927, and actually I'm the second president from Hamilton County. The last one was Gil Schaefer back in the 50s. So it's quite an honor to be elected.
Yeah.
But basically what it is that we have a very good organization, and of course we're very active in the legislative area because of things that affect real estate. And so, I get a lot of phone calls, a lot more emails.
I bet so.
A lot more responsibility. But it's a lot of fun.
What are some of those increased responsibilities?
Well, as president, we have various committees that I have to appoint. Mm-hmm. There's numerous ones. And of course, I think the primary two that are probably the most important is one is the legislative, because we've had to track all the legislation that affects real estate in the recorder's office. Mm-hmm. The other one, of course, is our continuing education. It's mandated by state law now that we have continuing education every year. 8 hours every year, and if a new recorder has to take 15 hours the first year. Okay. So we have to organize all the continuing education, and we had to put on 3 CE conferences a year.
Because there are a lot of new things that happen in the recorder's office. For instance, with you, your Internet Document Access. How's that coming along?
Well, actually, the topic this year is bulk sales of records. If you came into my office and asked for a copy of something and we printed it out, it'd be $2 per page. And if it's certified, it's $1 more. And if you printed it out on one of our machines, it's only 25 cents. However, if a person comes in, say a data plant company, they come in and they say, I want all your records, and we have to give it to them. And if they want a month's worth of records that we take in, then we can put it on a disc, and they can buy it for $1.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's nice for them, but not for the general
public.
So again, that's one of our discussions this year is the bulk sale of records.
Okay.
What's fair for the consumer. It was what is mandated by the Ohio Supreme Court. That was a case that came from the Cuyahoga County case with DataTrace.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Well, what are some of the other new things happening in your office? You always seem to have a lot going on.
Well, I think the last time I was in, we were talking about electronic recording and getting the data online. And actually, this past October, we were able to actually launch it. And we have over 18 million images since 1988 now that you can search online. And also we are now taking in recordings through a web portal electronically. So we have been able to implement those 2 software programs. And again, it's very effective for us is because, especially the e-recording or electronic recording, because that way we don't have to take in the mail because it comes in electronically, so we don't have to open up the mail. We don't have to be sure that the check is right. Because we can look at the document online, look at the format, and say, okay, so many pages, this is how much it's going to cost. That evening, the money is transferred into our bank account, so we don't have to refund. Which has been a big problem because months later, maybe a bank would contact us and say, well, what was this $2 or $3 refund from the auditor's office about?
So this translates into efficiency for everyone.
Oh, much more efficient, considerably more efficient. And also is that because it's already in the electronic format, all we have to do is accept it and it goes right into our public display or our electronic filing.
Well, it always sounds like when you're streamlining all of your efforts, you make things more efficient. I know you always have a budget to deal with, and sometimes you've had to lose some good people because of the budget. Has that been an issue as of late?
Well, we started in 2009 with 39 employees. I have 19 today. Oh my God. But again, we've been able to make it work because of the efficiencies that we've done. We've merged floors, we've co, we've cross-trained everybody into everything. But it's been a challenge, but I say it's because if you're trying to do more with less, you become considerably more conscientious to all the things around you. And again, I'm there every day, so watching the operation, and I always look at things, how can we do things just a little differently? Actually, on the back of my wall now, I have my 2014 projects. And my IT guy, he just continually looks at me and goes, "You just never stop." I said, "No, it says you always got to be looking at how you can make things much more efficient, because, again, if you're losing personnel, the only efficiency is in technology."
Right, that's a very good point. And is this a statewide issue that recorders' offices are losing staff, budget cuts warrant that?
Since the recession, of course, and then again we were confronted with the lack of the local government funds that the county gets, and of course when they got cut back, there was more cuts to the other offices. So it's been across the state, not just in the recorder's office, but the auditor's office, the treasurer's office. You've seen a lot in the sheriff area because that's a major hit. The coroner's office. I mean, it goes across the board.
So everybody has those wounds that they're dealing with.
Right. It's just a matter of what is the public priority and what can you do. We've been very, very fortunate because of the way that things have been done in the past as far as the way I do things today. And again, one of the things I did when I first came in was I went around to the surrounding 3 counties of Claremont, Butler, and Warren, and looked at what systems they had, what efficiencies they had, and then looked at my system to see what I did not have, and how can I implement it. Since we have a one-off system, I could not afford to buy a new system, so I had to kind of look at different platforms that I could overlay on my existing system.
Talk about registered land abolishment.
Oh, that's an interesting topic that's just come to the forefront. This next coming Thursday, in Butler County, they're having a public hearing on the abolishment of registered land in their county. We have looked at it for the last, now going on 6 years. My budget office comes to me and look at it and say, what do you think? Are we going to be able to do this? Well, previously it was quite an archaic system because you had to notify all people of interest to the property, whether it be the homeowner, the banks, the insurance companies, or whatever. In House Bill 72, they changed that format where now that only has to be published 2 times in 2 weeks. There's no restraining order that can stop the county commissioners. And also, it's pretty straightforward with a public hearing. And then, of course, the county commissioners have the ability to pass a resolution and do it. And basically what it would stop is that any existing registered land, any forward movement on that partial would be done in unregistered land. So it's rather interesting because we have over 52,000 parcels here in Hamilton County, but there was only 11 counties out of the 22 that had registered land. And there was a survey done, and I think I was the only holdout. And I told them, I said, well, I'm the minority, so you got to do what you got to do. So the state in House Bill 72, they put in a language to expedite the process. So it'll be interesting.
I just count that as one of the challenges. What's your biggest challenge?
Well, when I look back at registered land, when I first started, I had 10 people in registered land.
Is that right?
Yeah. Last week I had 3. This week I have 2. And being that my personnel director, who is also my executive assistant, resigned to go up to the engineer's office. So the registered land coordinator and cashier, who has been there 25 years, said she would like to be my personnel.
Oh.
So we brought her in as a personnel, so now I'm really struggling in registered land. Yeah, it's a struggle.
I'd say so.
So we're going to be talking to the commissioners. They've asked me to come to a work session and explain the registered land situation. And again, it's up to them as a policy-making body that if they choose to do what they want to do. So, but there are efficiencies. Currently, as I was saying earlier about the electronic recording, with registered land, I can't do electronic recording of registered land. The difference is that typically if you do a title search on unregistered land, you do a 40-year abstract of the title.
Okay.
You go back and look. With registered land, it's a certificate of title. And basically, it has the history already in the certificate. So basically, when an attorney looks back, and there's only maybe 13 registered land attorneys here in the county that do registered land. So they have to look at it and say, well, I don't have to go back all that 40 years. I just have to look at the title and see what's going forward. But what happens with that is that the way our system is that in 2004, there was an old computer system that was implemented or wasn't current at that time. And then in 2004, my predecessor brought in a whole new system. Well, the two was never migrated. So basically what happens is that when you pull up a particular certificate, it'll say no document found, which means go to the green screen. Now, if it's not on the green screen, because some of these parcels haven't been done anything since 1910 or whatever. So now you have to go all the way back to the books. So you have to retype everything's in the book, everything that's in the green screen, and then merge that with what you see on the new system.
So on one hand, you've created all of these efficiencies, you're in the 21st century, and now dealing with this, it's back to some archaic, dated mode.
Well, actually, you know, if you were trying to deregister registered land, you would have to make, now this is previously to House Bill 59, because I asked Senator Seitz to put a couple of amendments in the bill, and having served in the legislature, I knew the process. But basically what it was well, we took the registered land certificates. Well, if you wanted to deregister your property, you had to print out all the former documents and then bring them all forward and then make copies, certify them, and then refile them all in unregistered land, which is very expensive. And only a registered land attorney can do it. So it's very expensive to do that. So this current process of abolishment is extremely streamlined, so it doesn't cost the homeowner any money.
Okay.
But the other side of that is that, as I was saying about the registration and bringing everything forward, the worst case scenario is that in the old certificates that looked like road maps, they were like 25 by 36, and everything had an entry, and every entry had to be signed. Well, when we went electronic, everything that came forward, they didn't change the language since 1953. So basically what happened there is that we had to take, and when we print out the new certificate, it had a line there for the signature of the deputy or the recorder. I had over 99 pages, and there was like 3 or 4 entries on a page. And so I had Senator Seitz say, okay, all we had to do is note who the recorder was at the time of action, and the last line was to be a wet signature in the stamp. And he did that for me, and I signed the certificates today.
Made a big difference for you.
Okay, well, efficiency. You know,
Yes.
if you look at how things are done and how can you do them better and differently and more expedient.
Right. What remains your biggest challenges in the office?
Gee whiz, every day is a new...
Yeah, I mean, you just named a big one, it
Yeah.
sounds like, but what do you feel like you confront continuously? Is there anything? Or is this
Well,
smooth
I
sailing?
think constantly you're working on office morale. You know, when you have all the heavy lifting done by the current staff, and it's been scaled back so far because of the economics, and they are very conscientious of their work. And of course, you know, there is a liability if things are not done correctly.
Right.
So I would have to say that working on office morale, but be sure that things are done correctly and in a measured way. But again, I'm there every day.
You are there every day, and you've been
Yeah.
there for a while. And your background, how you came into this, you have quite a busy background, an impressive background. You've been involved in many things before you landed in this position.
And it has served me well.
It has, hasn't it?
Actually, you know, it's kind of been like a roadmap in a sense. You know, it's been good to have all my years. Let's say I got in real estate back in '72. My broker's in '81. I've been a home builder, but then again, I started over 20 years ago, starting on city council and then the mayor, which gave me a lot of fiscal management. But then again, as I moved up to the state level, it gave me a whole different perspective. And then in the recorder's office, I can take and look at all of those life experiences and congeal them into what I do today.
And are you where you'd hoped you'd be? I'm sure you probably set some goals and timelines for yourself as you came in, identified the issues, and of course had some issues. Certainly, I'm sure loss of employees.
The two major ones was accessibility of documents, and of course that was the major one. That was my A1 priority, and we've been able to do that. But we've been also very blessed nowadays that we are doing a lot of back scanning, and actually, I have the Latter-day Saints in my office, and they'll be completing their project in April. They've been there since October. And they've been taking in all our roll film since the 1700s, late 1700s, all the way up to 1938.
Is that right?
And they've been roll filming all that and digitizing it.
Wow.
And we could get a copy of that. And so basically, in 1938, the Social Security number started coming in. So we're letting them use the series index, but not necessarily the documents, because like soldiers' discharge, we can't by law have anything later, or I should say past 75 years going back. So they're scanning everything to that. And now what we're looking at doing also is that from 1988, which is our unregistered land, we need to go back to 1973 in order to do a 40-year search digitally. So we have 42 of those CPUs out there that people can do electronic searches on, but once we do the 88 to 73 and redact those, we can put those online. So again, making things much more available and creating that virtual library.
And does your staff help out with these kind of endeavors?
Oh yeah.
Such as the one more have undertaken?
Well, yeah, this morning, actually, we started back several months ago redoing our plats. All the old plats, I mean, when we're looking at the old Sims purchase and stuff like that, it'll say everything from the 1779 up. The thing is that we've been able to talk to Ted Hubbard, our engineer, and he's let us use their flat band scanner. Well, a lot of the older documents were in color, but you can't see those blue lines or red lines and stuff like that.
Right.
Well, we're up to about book 122 from 0 up. And now we can look at those documents in more detail because they're in color, but also it's just looking at the page in front of you with the white background instead of having the yellow paper of age. So we've been doing that, and the other thing that happened several years ago was that there was an agreement with my predecessor in a data company that would take the roll film and digitize it, but apparently nobody checked the records. And we found that there's over 75,000 images missing.
Oh.
Actually, I should say documents.
Is that right?
Well, we started that project 2 years ago, and we're down to about 30,000 left now. And basically what we have to do is look at the roll film, print it out, and then give it a barcode, rescan it into the system. But that's without everything else going on.
Well, you always manage to get things done efficiently, even the most daunting of tasks. And it's always great to have you in the studio. We look forward to having you here again and hearing about the wonderful things you're accomplishing in the office.
See what's next.
Thanks so much for joining us.